Right, I'm just gonna assume that I'm live enough. Um, Hi Ben. Um, Hopefully there's not too much of a delay. Okay. Well, I finally got some amount of streaming to happen. So this is really just a practice stream for me to figure out some of the technical issues, of which there are many. Thanks a lot, YouTube. I suppose it's much better than it used to be. Um, yeah. I've also got a really sweet streaming setup. Here, I'll turn around the webcam so y'all can see this cool streaming setup. Um, there we go. Yeah, so I guess the thing that I'm trying to build today is, I carefully move things. There we go. The thing that I'm trying to build, okay, so there is hella delay. I'm not sure why there's so much delay, but I guess that's what we've got. It's okay, this will just be mostly like non-interactive. Yeah, there's like a literally 3-minute delay. Yeah. So as live as we're gonna get. Um, but yeah, again, didn't really prepare much. But yeah, the goal here is, so my plan is to build lots and lots of social networks. I figured this could be a really interesting way for me to practice making social networks, and also to make social networks that I wouldn't otherwise consider, because a social network is a big project. And there are a lot of like small, stupid, shitposty social networks. What does it mean to make like Dolphin Town or other weird experimental social networks? So this is really an excuse for me to um, build out lots of small social networks, start figuring out how you can reuse tools between social networks, and explore a bunch of very experimental feature sets for social networks. So one of the ones that I'm planning to make after I've got this sort of hub site up is I want to make um, Castle of Cross Destinies, which is an Italo Calvino novel about people communicating. They've lost the use of language, and all they can do is communicate in tarot cards. So making a social network where people express themselves through tarot cards and then annotate stories in those tarot cards. So I think that would be like, that's an example of a fun, weird social network. There was another one that I wanted to make of just picking the single best frame from a piece of media. So like everybody gets to upvote or downvote like what the best Shrek single frame is. So things that are like kind of one-off weird stuff. There's witch.farm, which I actually did buy the domain for. So that is a social network roguelike for witches. So yeah, really just like building lots of different stuff. But my goal for today is I have some code that I borrowed from a previous project that gives me this nice UI, and I can like resize this, and you can see that it actually like saves. So I can resize columns, and if I refresh that page, the column stays in that location. I can switch between different modes, and the column layout stays set on those modes. And I'll show you a little bit about how that works. And again, expect some failure here. This is me just really figuring out how to talk on stream. I was able to do it really well last fall, and then I've kind of, through some anxiety, lost the knack to do that. So a little bit about how this project is set up. Let's remove some of these sorted stuff. There we go. So the idea here was to build a whole bunch of social networks. So I wanted to have a folder where I can put different social networks and still have them use some shared stuff. So I wanted to be able to like log into Twitter, or like log in with Twitter, log in with Facebook, log in with like all these cool Firebase things, save to local storage, and I didn't want to rewrite that every time. And if I had some things that like got better over time, I didn't want to have to copy those between projects. So what I did was I made this folder that has a couple of different a couple of different early sites, so Roguery and Castle of Cross Destinies, and then also a bunch of shared stuff. So some shared JavaScript things, a place to put the hub, and some JavaScript that I can use there. Like IO is going to be shared between a lot of stuff, so let's look at IO for a moment. So IO is a file that I often have in my projects where I do all of my input-output stuff. This is things that save to local storage and things that communicate with Firebase, as well as things that maybe like import JSON files from other parts of the project. So really anything that's not just using like basic JavaScript and like trying to anything that is trying to bring in data from outside of the basic web project. So in here I've got a couple of utility functions. So this is a JavaScript module pattern, just in case like Kat Manning is watching this. So this is a module pattern. This basically says like, okay, I can define all sorts of stuff in this function. So I could have like let secret equal foo. So somebody could still like look at what secret is, but they couldn't access secret from just like digging around in the JavaScript object that gets exported with IO. I can do things like, have a user that's set here, so I can, when I log in, so maybe one of the things I'll do today is like, let's have a button where I fake log in a user. I have init where I can set up certain things, like so I'm setting up a local storage prefix, and this way all of the local storage that I do via this particular page, I can have a set prefix, so I know if I run this web page in different places, I kind of know what belongs to me and what doesn't. That doesn't really matter on the internet because it's all like based on the location, but if I'm just running it locally, over here in like Dropbox/code/whatever, we can go down here to application, and you can see that like in my local storage I've actually got stuff from a lot of different projects, but they all have different prefixes, and so I can tell like what's actually part of this. That one's old. That one's broken. Well, I wish it would let me sort by key. That would be helpful. But I can see the SMM hub world is all stuff just in this project. And the idea being there that I can also have like SMM. So SMM is Social Media Multiverse, which is my tentative name for this project. If anybody else has an idea for what you could call a whole bunch of social networks all together, let me know. Just like a big bucket of collected social networks. Social network, maybe social network anthology. Like a collection of experimental short story style social networks. But yeah, the idea is to be able to have lots of those and to like not have each one of them like stomp on different data. I'm also using Vue, so I've done a lot of streams on Vue before. Here we can see where I'm creating this app. So this is the app for this page. And again, this is something I built before that works really well. It's got a header, and it's got these two columns right here. And then these two columns have a component that's page section 0 and page section 1. And I can define those per app depending on what I want them to be. So this allows me to do things like say, okay, like, maybe for the roguelike, I want to have one column filled with like your inventory and messages, and one column filled with a map of the world. For this hub world, I think I want one that's filled with your user settings and one that's filled with all the different social networks that there are. So this is mostly just, that's old. This does things like, you know, set the mode of the app to different things, resize stuff. Yeah. Say start mode. So yeah, and then over here in where did I put this? Yeah, hub/hub-sections. This is where I've got the different sections that I want to fill out. So this stuff over here, let's see. Tools, I'm going to re-indent things. There we go. So I want a template. And then on the other column, I want useful user information. Oh, hub section 7. Here we go. I always forget commas. Also, thanks friends for just like hanging out on this stream. I know this is not like a super informationful one, but like it's really helpful for me to have like imaginary friends. Yeah, or even real friends. Hi, Ben. Yeah, so you can see here I've got a list of social networks and I've got user info. And you can see if I was on a smaller device than this, you can see it actually like goes into like proper mode. So this is nice because every single social network that I make with this will be like mobile friendly to start off. And that's why I'm doing this sort of like weird software architecture thing of like building things into the same frame network, or like same kind of frame project. So this is the book that holds all of my short stories. All right, so like maybe I'll just do like a little bit of view practice, and of the things that I'm passing into each of these sections. There is props, and the properties are app, which is an object, and you do need that. And an IO, which is that previously mentioned object, which is an object, and you need that too. I'll just copy this down here and see if it doesn't like that. It does not like that. Some prop info. Oh, IO, not info. Oh, it auto-completed. That's what I get. All right. Data function should return an object. Oh. And actually, I don't even think I need data for these things yet. I don't really have any stored data. Or rather, we can get into that when we get into that. Let's pretend that I had some apps, or I had some social networks, so I could add social networks to this list. I guess that's probably an array. So I have some social networks, and one of them is wow, I am not coding tonight. I've got witch farm. It's got some description. It's got some icon. It's got some title. and I would probably have like a JSON object that stores all of these and like maybe keeps them dynamically updated. So which farm? I've got castle. Castle of Cross Destinies. Okay, so this gives us 3 little social networks that we can use to build out an interface. Alright, so hub sections. So this is my list of social networks. This will be a place to put all those, and then I guess I'll just make a little div for each one of them. So B-4. And let's see, I have access to app, so app.socialnetworks. Go for. Oh, thanks, Ben. So v4 network in app.socialnetworks. Yeah. Also, Ben, if you want JavaScript lessons, I'm giving JavaScript lessons to Kat Manning, so if you ever want to do a 2 for lesson, I would be totally down for like 2 students at once. I'm trying to increase myself from like 1 student at a time to doing multiples, in preparation for someday teaching like 70 students at a time. So I can say network.title. Hopefully this will give me a list of all of my social networks, except that I goofed. Where did I goof? Hub app 12. Aha. Need commas. Here we go. So now I've got my list of social networks. I can turn each one of those into, let's see what I've got in my CSS. Yeah, I've got tile. This is a class that I frequently use to just make things that are like offset. So class equal yeah, so now I've got like these different things. I could say, let's see, do this like this. You can kind of see what all the different parameters are. At click, which is a way of adding a click handler. So yeah, okay, so here's a click handler. I want to say when you click on this, I want you to set the current selected social network to whatever this is. I guess I will need some data. I have to initialize it to undefined, otherwise view only knows about things that exist in when the view object was created. And so if I don't add this in, I can't like say, oh yeah, suddenly set that to something, because it doesn't know that that's a thing that it's supposed to be watching. So I can say when you do that, select a network equals network dot ID. I think I called that ID, right? Yep, ID. Just reordering some things. All right, so that sets the network ID. And then I can even say like, okay, my class is also going to be selected if this is true. And then I can say like current is selected network. You can see so I can do that. I'll make another class here that's tile.selected. So that way if you're selected, you should change your background color to, I don't know, one of these other colors that I have defined. Oh, I do have BG color selected. That's handy. So what I'm doing here is I'm using, these are among the very few like sort of macros in CSS that are built in by default, this var. So I can set like one color that's used for all of these. And that way if I'm like, oh, well, I want everything that is selected to have a certain background color. Wonder what color that is. Oh. So that's selected. Oh, there's an E in selected. There we go. Yep. So now everything that is selected has like this nice sort of cerulean background. And if I had that in 100 different places and I decided that I did not, in fact, like that color, I want it to be slightly different, say, let's make it pink. I like pink. It's on brand. Yeah, maybe a little pinker than that. It's a little purple for me. Yeah. There we go. Nice super pink. My computer is currently lighting itself on fire because this is OBS asks a lot of it. So yeah, so now I've got something where I can like browse different things. Let's make some fake user login stuff. I probably won't get to Firebase tonight. This was really, again, just kind of a test stream. Yeah, let's make a fake login button down here. Just putting some stuff here that like I can add, so we can have, let's see, one line where it's the, I should do a table. Do people still do tables? Anyway, let's do a table, see if I can remember how to do tables. Let's see, so there's a table row, end of a table row. There's a table doohickey, the end of a table doohickey. All right, let's see if I can keep doing that. Yeah, it looks like a table. All right, have that be a label. It's nice to do semantic markup on things. I can even be fancy and tab indent this so it's easier to read. There we go. So yeah, got a nice little table. I should give labels a nice, yeah, I do in fact have something for that, so from a class, UI label. And this will give like its own custom styling, which looks very classy. So yeah, this is where I would like change what my username is. So now let's do some fake login stuff. When you log in with Firebase, everybody has a unique user ID that is stored on Firebase and is used to get all sorts of useful stuff, like saying, like, does this person have access to this file? So if I upload a tracery grammar, do I have access to share that? Do I have access to delete that? Do I have access to see it and edit it? They'll compare who the owner is of that file versus who the current logged in person is. With a bunch of very sophisticated stuff to keep you from spoofing. So yeah, I want to be able to mash that fake login button and see that user change. So I'm going to say, let's see, where did I put that button? Yeah. When you do that, when you click io.login, let's see if I've got login with ID. I'm going to say if you log in with no ID, that's, or so let's see. If fake login will actually do some stuff, else we will not do things. Let's see, I think I've got a file over here that's kind of one of my custom files that I use a lot. It's utilities.js, and this is just a bunch of stuff that I use all the time. And I think I have generate seed. Yeah, get random seed, which provides me a legitimate looking random seed. Alright, so I should be setting the user to a fake UID. Oh, right, because I am not saying use that. io.user.uid. And this should be io.user. Okay, cool. So if we do fake login, yep, I in fact get a fake ID. It's a fake ID generator. I should also get a username. Yeah, there we go. Got a username generator there. You can see that I do a lot of faking UI data or faking network data, and that's super helpful to not have to connect to Firebase. It just generates some random stuff. So this will give me, nope, user.username. Oh, I had it capitalized there and not capitalized down here. There we go. So you can see this generates a large number of users and fake usernames. So I've been thinking about what to do with these social networks, because I could see you wanting to have a different display name for each social network. So possibly there's sort of one unique user identifier. So there's the unreadable Firebase identifier. Then there's a username. So that'll be a unique yet memorable string that you have to use to identify yourself across all social networks. But then you should be able to have a display name for each of the social networks that you've logged into. So maybe I'll say for each user, the user has some network data. I'm going to say, and then I'll just construct this. Let's see. Map object is a little utility that I made for myself. You give it an object and a function, and then it like gives you back the remapping of that object. So I use this a lot. Let's see, value and the key. I always forget the order. And I'll make that a little sub-object return, let's see. Oh, wait. So that's an array, and I want an object, actually. Map object to array. No, wait. Map array to object. There we go. So I need array, a key, a function, and a value function. So for each of these, let's see, I need a key function that takes the value in an index and returns a value in an index. Ancient functions, all right. Map array to objects. So it takes a key function and we get the key from that value. Okay, so this value in the array. Okay, so the key is value.id. And then the entity that I want is return, let's see, and maybe all their like data that they have stored in this social network. So we're really just like, you know, what would I eventually store for the user for a social network? Let's just see what that generates. Oh, map array to object is not defined. Oh, so I didn't write it out all the way. Oh, social networks, not networks. Val, not value. Okay. So now I've got some, okay, so they've got a different ID on each one. And there's a 50% chance that they have a human name and a 50% chance that they have like some cool like fakey web name. So now I want to display like these are your social names for each of your social networks, or these are your display names for each social network. So hub sections. All right. Make another table. Anthology sonas. What's your persona for? If you had a persona for each different story in an anthology, what would you call those? Antholosonas? That sounds terrible. All right, but for each one of these, I'll make a row. This is why I love Vue. It's like really easy to just like make data structures of data structures. V4 network data in io.user networks. Okay. Something is telling me that this is not quite right. I'm pretty sure that I said IO user networks is a thing. Oh, right, because I hadn't logged in yet. So there are currently no social networks. But yeah, now I can log in with lots of different usernames. So the next thing I would want to do is make it so that you can change your username for any of your, like basically this is where you manage your identity for any one of these social networks. So you can create one login, but then you can have like IDs on a whole bunch of different social networks. And yeah, hopefully like you could just say like, okay, this is me, but I want to test out this social network and this social network and this social network and be able to like bounce between them without actually having to like do a whole like Google login for each of them. So let's see if I can think of a good way to like change that. So maybe if you click on it, it goes into an editing mode. Does that sound right? So maybe if you click anywhere in here, set edit mode to, yeah, but then I want it to, if you click out of that, oh, that'll be blur. Okay. So set the edit mode to so I'm going to be editing display name, network ID. And so let's see. So if I am editing that, I want it to be in an input field. Okay, so this is pretty handy. You can just say like, okay, the input is it vbind? Let's see, oh, vmodel, that's what it is. Network data. Model. Model network name. Network data display name. Oh, edit mode is not defined, so that's what it's complaining about. So let me just add that to data. So edit mode starts off as nothing. All right. Data should return an object. Oh. I like Vue. It has pretty reasonable error messages. All right, so why is this not getting filled with stuff? vModel network data.display. Oh, it's not binding it, it's just setting that. Okay, and you can see, oh, wait. Network data.displayName. So that should be, as I change this, it should be changing the other one, but it's not. So that's no good. What's causing that? This might be a thing in Vue where it's like, it's not aware, well, let me just, let's see. So user is going to, I'm going to puzzle this out and it's not going to make any sense to people listening. All right. So I create user and they have, oh right, I didn't give them, I didn't give it access to social, or the network's information, the network information. There we go. So you can see as I'm changing this, it changes as that'll actually change, like that's actually changing in that IO user object what that name is. And so I can say like, okay, every time, so I want to say, okay, whenever you've changed that and you blur it, I want you to tell me that something has changed in this name. So let's see. So that's blur. So blur is when you lose focus. And I only want the edit thing to appear if I am in that correct edit mode. Basically, I want to toggle on and off between clicking these. So, if okay, so if the edit mode is, oops, display name plus network ID. And I'm missing a quotation mark somewhere. Display name plus network ID. Okay, cool. And then I only want this to appear otherwise. So I'll just put it in a little span. Okay, so now you can see I can in fact change which one of these I'm currently editing. So that's pretty nice. Okay, now I want to say something about like, all right, there's going to be a button down here for like sending these changes back to the back up to the server. Like, okay, you said you're changing your name in which farm. I want you to like consent to that and say, okay, now I'm sending it up. Let me know when that is like fully realized confirm changes. Save changes. I don't want to sound like a bank. But of course, I only want that to happen if the name has changed. And I'm in fact saying io.user a lot, so I'm just, yeah, no, makes sense to keep it like this. Okay. But of course I want to have access to that has changes. So I'll add that to my sort of manifesto of things that the user knows about. Starts off with no unsaved changes, obviously. And I want to toggle that if I edit things. I could do something sophisticated like make a copy of this, like make a copy of the original current user data stuff. Yeah, that would make sense. So my data here, I'm going to like make a deep copy of. I'm just going to be lazy. I'm just going to say when there's a key up, and this will come and bite me in the butt eventually. But if you have edited this thing, so set that to true whenever the key is up. So fake login. See that I now have some changes, and even if I like remove those changes, it's still going to ask me if I want to save those changes. Oh, but I should let them like reset. So maybe I do want to keep a copy. So I'm going to say like that is going to be let's see. I want this to change whenever the user logs in. Oh, I know. I won't actually change it in the user's things. I'm going to change it. Okay, so let's see. So the user logs in. That gets all their names. You know, I might actually just leave it like this tonight. I'm sort of running out of brain power. But I would like to thank folks for like visiting with me on stream for a little bit, and I'm going to puzzle this out in the morning. It's basically I need to do a little bit of whiteboarding and figure this out. But yeah, thanks Ben and whoever the other like second person was on stream. This was really nice to have a chill audience for testing this out, and I think I've got my tech stuff enough that I can at least figure out what to do next. So hopefully I will program a little bit more on this maybe in the morning, then do some tracery stuff, and hopefully I'll have enough of a framework that I can start building some social networks out.